perfect and complete. So how does that relate to what is the science of mind? Now, we said 100 years of the science of mind. Well, that's not too long. I mean, when we look at, things like Hinduism and Buddhism that have been here for thousands of years, Judaism, thousands of years, Christianity, thousands of years. And yet, what the science of mind does is look at all of these religions and philosophies and science and bring them all together and make them practical. What good is a philosophy if it cannot be applied to make our lives better? That's the whole point of the science of mind, is taking everything and putting it together and making it a practical thing. What Ernest Holmes said, one of the things he said was, it's a correlation of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion applied to human needs and the aspirations of humanity. So it's about our aspirations. It is an aspirational philosophy. And the book that we're using, and actually we're using it all year. We have some other books that we're recommending, but the book that we're using all year is Living the Science of Mind. Because it's about taking this philosophy and using it every day. And so it starts out, of course, talking about what is the science of mind. Now, this particular book was actually published in 1969 from a series of essays, both in the Science of Mind textbook and in a book called The New Thought Movement that was written by Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of this philosophy back in 1918. That's when he took it on the road, and later was on the radio, and later founded a center down in what he called the Religious Science Institute for education of people in this philosophy and in this truth from down in Los Angeles. And it's part of a movement called New Thought that actually began in the early 19th century. And that movement was talking about the impact of our thoughts on our lives. It started out with a guy named Phineas Quimby, and it went to Mary Baker Eddy, who founded Christian Science. Then there was Divine Science and Home of Truth. All of these different philosophies came about. And Ernest Holmes founded this science of mind. He took it an extra step. Because a lot of people talked about what it was, but he talked about how to use it. And that was his gift, was how do we use this, what we are understanding about the impact of our thoughts on our lives. How do we use that in a positive way to make our lives better and to live the life that the divine meant us to live? So he said, so it's actually called, now we sort of call it New Thought, Ancient Wisdom, because none of these ideas are new. These ideas are not new. If you came to this philosophy for the very first time and you heard us talking and you said, well, I believed that. I thought that was true. You're right. A lot of people have gone through their various religious experiences and thought, there's some truth here, but I'm not buying the rest of this stuff. And so what we do is we try to put together the things that were what Ernest Holmes called the golden thread of truth that runs through all of the religions. All of them have a version of the golden rule. The do unto others as you would have them do unto you. They all have a version of that. So if we can find these elemental truths in all of the religions, let's go for that because that came from an actual experience of what we call a mystic. A mystic is a person who has a direct experience of God. And the thing is, we are all potential mystics, whether we know it or not. We are all intimately connected with that infinite power. We just haven't been told that that's the truth. Dr. Ken Gordon, who's the spiritual leader of our organization right now, said it's sort of like we were given the most powerful computer ever known, and then we were trained to use it like a calculator or maybe a word processor, but we didn't realize that it had all of these other capabilities. I mean, I just bought a new car. The book for this car is like this. There are so many things it does. I mean, talk about a smart car. This car is so much smarter than I am. And, you know, it's going to take me years to figure out all the things that it does. So, you know, it's the same kind of thing. We came in with this infinite potential and possibility, and we were told, no, this is what you have to do. You have to fit into this particular mold because this is what we need from you for our society to work properly. But the thing is, this society has to evolve, and for it to evolve, we must evolve, and for us to evolve, we have to recognize and remember that we're connected to an infinite power, an infinite intelligence, and an infinite imagination. And that as we can expand our mind, we can have that experience of God. Now, we all have actually probably had an experience of God, and maybe we just didn't call it that. Maybe we just called it a little intuitive hit. We just got an idea that maybe we should go do this particular thing, and when we did, something else showed up that was really wonderful, and then we followed that, and it led us to something even more wonderful, because we were following inner guidance. We were following that infinite mind within that was giving us information, and we were listening. I know one of the things I always think of is I was a computer programmer, and you know, computer programs have these wonderful things called bugs, which is it's not working right. And so, you know, you have to figure out why isn't it working right. And so I would be there until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night rerunning it and trying this and trying that and blah, 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 blah. It wasn't coming, wasn't happening. And then I would finally, exhausted, go home, and in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, boom, I would know just what happened and how to fix it. Now, why was that? Because I was letting go of my rational mind, I was letting go of what I thought it could be or what it might be, and I was connecting with our subjective mind, the subconscious mind. And in that subconscious, there's two things going on. One of them is we're connected to the race consciousness. That is, every thought that has ever been thought by a human being, we're connected to it in that subconscious mind. But we're also accessing the infinite mind. And in that infinite mind, all of the answers and all of the possibilities are absolutely available. So that's where that answer showed up. It showed up from that infinite mind that I was able to access when I wasn't worrying about it, I wasn't thinking about it, I wasn't concerned about it, I was just sleeping and accessing that other mind, that infinite mind. So we have that feeling, and the other way that we feel that kind of thing is when we have an experience of awe or wonder. How about when we step out into an experience of having, seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time at dawn, watching the sunrise over Grand Canyon, we absolutely have an experience of awe and wonder. And when we have an experience of awe and wonder, we are experiencing the divine. We are experiencing something beyond our normal experience. The thing about those experiences is that words are very difficult to transmit that information. How do you describe that feeling of awe and wonder? We use those words, awe and wonder, but that really doesn't transfer the whole experience. It's sort of like, you're at the sunset in Hawaii and you take the picture of the glorious sunset. And somehow when you get home and you have that photo, doesn't capture the whole thing. It captures a representation of it that may re-evoke the feeling, but it's an experience that you have. And it is an experience that we call divine. So we all have had those experiences, those connections to the divine. And so the science of mind is all about letting us recognize and realize that we have that connection to the divine and that we can use it. As Ernest Holmes used to say frequently, there is a power for good in the universe, and we can use it. We can use it. And how do we use it? By directing our thought. He says the universe is a big thought. The quantum science tells us that it acts like a thought. I mean, it's all about these little connections and relationships, and it's all about a movement that's everything is moving. I mean, we think because of our perceptions as human individuals, as human beings, with the perceptions that we've been given, we think of all of this stuff as solid, right? All solid. All solid. Nope. All energy. All little particles moving all the time. All these little particles are moving. And the thing is, they respond by corresponding to the atmosphere of our thought. So we are creating an atmosphere for these little particles through our thought. So the question is, are we thinking benevolent thoughts? Or are we thinking negative and destructive thoughts? Because the universe is responding by corresponding to that. And so we're setting up an atmosphere around us. Now, we know that that atmosphere is true. We don't necessarily think about it. We don't necessarily realize that we're picking it up consciously, but subconsciously, we can tell somebody comes in and they're angry. They don't have to say a word. We can tell from their body language, we can tell from the atmosphere that they're creating that this is an angry person. We are all creating these atmospheres around us all the time. And so the science of mind is about generating positive atmospheres through positive thoughts. Because the thing is, we have come up with a bunch of beliefs. All of us have a whole bunch of beliefs, and some of us don't even know what those beliefs are, because we got them before we had a language even. When we're little teeny babies and we don't have language, we're still picking up these atmospheres from the people around us, and so we end up having a belief about who we are and what we deserve in the world, whether we're worthy, whether we're beautiful, whether we're loved. All of those things we pick up perhaps before we even knew that that's what was happening. So the thing is, so we may have some negative beliefs going on that we don't even know we have. So what do we do about that? Well, we cannot just say, I'm not going to believe that anymore, especially if we don't know what it is. One of the ways we can figure it out is something is happening in our lives, and it's the same old thing that keeps happening, whatever it is. I'm in a dysfunctional relationship with my partner again. And so what we say is, what would a person have to believe in order for that to happen? Would I believe that I'm not worthy of a good relationship? Would I believe that I'm not worthy of being loved? Well, if that's the possibility, what we can do is we can say, okay, you can't just say, well, I don't believe that. You have to replace it with something, because the negative belief just doesn't go away. You pull it out, but if you don't replace it with something, nature abhors a vacuum. It's going to pull that old belief right back in again. So we have to replace it with a new belief, and that new belief is, I am worthy of a loving relationship. I am worthy of being cherished, whatever it is. I am worthy of that. And we have to just remind ourselves of that on a regular basis. When I first started out in the science of mind, I had Post-its all over my windows, all over my mirrors, I am joy, I am worthy, I am blah, 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 blah. Just to remind me, okay, yes, that's true. I am that. I am that. So you say that I am statement, and whatever you say after that I am statement, you are declaring a truth to the universe. When Moses is up with the burning bush, what does he say? What does the bush say when he says, what is your name? Oh, voice that's talking to me. What is your name? He says, I am that. I am. Whatever I say I am, that's what I am. And so Jesus framed it as, it is done unto you as you believe. It is done unto you as you believe. So our beliefs are very important. And our power is much more than we think. So we're living in this universe that is harmonious. That is its underlying nature. It is always trying to restore balance and harmony. We have a hurricane, that's restoring balance. We have an earthquake, that's restoring balance. It's the universe restoring balance. We just happen to be riding this living thing that's in continual restoration of balance, and we have to get into balance with it, right? So the thing that we say in the science of mind is, God is all there is. God is all there is. Everything. Nothing outside of God, including me. I'm in there too. So let's talk about creating an atmosphere. Suppose you have to deal with someone that you are not comfortable with. Let's make this philosophy practical. So we say, this person is really scary. I don't want to have to deal with them. It was so funny. I saw The Darkest Hour yesterday, which is a movie about the beginning of World War II in Britain with Winston Churchill. And Winston Churchill is meeting with the king. And the king says that he's afraid of him. And Winston Churchill says, well, I'm afraid of you too. So, they get to share their mutual fear of one another. And that's, of course, being able to break through that fear. Well, if we're going to be meeting someone that we're afraid of or that we have conflict with, there's a little technique. You breathe in and you say, I accept you, to yourself. You're creating an atmosphere before you go to see them. You breathe in, I accept you. And when you breathe out, you say, I bless you. I accept you. I bless you. I accept you. I bless you. I accept you. I bless you. And when you do that, when you set up that, you are changing the atmosphere. And that person may not realize it, but they're going to be impacted by that shift in your atmosphere. So this is part of the science of mind. It is saying we're living in a spiritual universe. We have tools that we can use to expand our experience of the divine in form every day. And we can have practical tools that enable us to do that. So we talk about prayer, and we talk about meditation, and we talk about service, and we talk about all these things, but all of these are practices that help us to connect with that divine nature. That's what we're here to do, is to be who we came here to be. To let go. It's not a thing about us being worthy of something or trying to get it. It's about us letting go of all of the stuff that gets in the way. All of the stuff we were taught, all of the stuff that we came to believe about ourselves that is not the truth. So it's about letting go and finding a way through to connect with that infinite presence and to make it a partner in our daily lives. So on that, we are knowing that as we apply these ancient truths to our lives, and as we apply these teachings, that everything that occurs is taking us to fulfilling our true purpose. That everything we're experiencing is allowing us to fulfill our true purpose. And that's what this philosophy, that's what the science of mind is all about. Letting us be who we came here to be. And remembering that we are all divine. And acting like it every day. So let's do our affirmation. I open to a greater experience of the infinite mind as me. I open to a greater experience of the infinite mind as me. I open to a greater experience of the infinite mind as me. And so it is. And now we're going to say our prayer for the new minister together, so we can get some more folks coming in. All right, and there's a copy in your bulletin, and there should be a copy, coming up here. Okay. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to glorify God, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as unity. I further know that my new minister is a fulfillment of that which is promised by God, for it is written, "So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth." As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as empowering our thriving spiritual community. I now intend to, Okay. Unity as an expression of love. I am awakened to the wisdom within. I am embodying the consciousness of both in unity and organizational well-being. I am open to mystical teachings that illuminate the science of mind principles. I am supporting my minister to be a loving and beneficial presence in the greater community in support of social activism. As I now accept the highest expressions of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will glorify God and serve the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Amen.